Hello and welcome. I'm Ian Condry. I am a cultural anthropologist. I am in anthropology and I'm also in comparative media studies. Here we are, sound, learning, and democracy. Spatial mixing and the curvatures of social space-time. I am a culturalist and I have started the Spatial Sound Lab. We have a room over in W20, the Stratton Student Center. We're just launching this fall. It's a surround sound studio, and right now we have technology for 5.1 surround sound production, and we are planning to install a much more advanced spatial object-oriented mixing system that I'll introduce slightly later in the talk. One of the things that's interesting about sound as a subject is that we hear it from all directions. And that now that I've been in the teaching business for almost 20 years, I'm struck by how much of our communication is unidirectional. Look at the organization of this room. Look at the PowerPoint. Look at the speaker, the microphone. The power structure of the expert at the front of the room is marked by me standing, by me having the microphone, by you sitting and you being silent. There are all sorts of ways we could design very different kinds of experiences for experiencing different kinds of things that are ill-suited to visualization. And that's why we're trying to make this Spatial Sound Lab for immersive data sonification, for modeling different kinds of sonic environments, for different kinds of social and educational experiences where we can interact directly while hearing things from multiple directions. Sensory ethnography becomes possible. Disability studies, thinking about what it's like to navigate with only sound, or hearing what it's like to lose your hearing. These are all projects and collaborations we're working on across MIT and across Boston, bringing together video game designers, musicians, sound artists, disability studies folks, sound engineers, and much more. My own approach, though, is more thinking about cultural movements and how, if we want to find the future, we need to look at the margins. In a way, that's obvious because if it's already in the center of our culture, then it's already here. But it's also true that the future is already happening. And the trick is to encourage it and bring it from the margins. And I think the things happening in spatial sound right now are a perfect example of ways we can advance thinking, learning, and research in new directions. I wrote a book about hip-hop in Japan. This was one of the early cultural movements I studied. How does something like rap music take root in Japan? Even when the people at the head of the recording industry and the music magazines say, there was no future for hip-hop in Japan. In the mid-90s, when I started studying, they said, it's not going to happen. But as I studied the musicians, they said, you know what? The record companies say it's not going to happen, but we know it is. And I went to those places and the clubs and met the people who are imagining a new future for Japan. We can even hear it in some feminist rap from today. We need a little more subwoofer right here. So here's just a brief clip of a Japanese woman rapper who's talking about the importance of getting rid of bras, this patriarchal binding of the body that should not be part of our future. It's kind of interesting, especially in the space where hip-hop is seen as very masculine. You also have gay rappers like Nishi Shinjuku Panties, who wear panties on their heads while rapping to say there's alternative forms of masculinity that we can perform and that we can excite the audience and help them imagine not only a new future for hip-hop, but a new future for Japan. I want to show you, however, that one of the things that I think sound does, that sound teaches us, is that there are things happening in our world that we can't see. But they affect us. Okay, so I have a little exercise I'd like us to do. We're going to be in a Japanese school for about 30 seconds here. I'd like everyone to stand up. Could I ask you to do that? Sorry. Okay, so in Japanese school, if we start class very simply. You have to bow to me, okay? So we'll start, and everybody tries to bow. Okay, ready? Bow. Okay, all right. That was terrible. And here's why. You have to bow because I'm the more powerful person. I'm the teacher. You need to bow deeper and longer than me. Okay, so we'll try it again. Here we go. Ready? Bow. All right. I'm still down. I'm still down. Okay, I'm up. Now you can go. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody can sit down. Thank you very much. So one of the things this shows us is that our social world is not flat. There are hierarchies, there are ways we assume things and we approach somebody. Our social world is curved. There's a curvature of social space-time that's everywhere. If I walk down the street as a white male professor wearing a suit with my gray hair, I'm treated a certain way by the police, by Homeland Security. It's a different story for other people in the world. And this is what I'm talking about. There's a curvature of social space-time that's marked by things like bowing, and that also we can figure by thinking about sound in various ways. And so this is the idea, is that we need a theory of society that captures this sense of curvature. $1 does not equal $1 for everyone. Half the population of the world lives on less than $6 a day. $1 is a lot of money for half the population. For billionaires, it's not very much even to think about. Same with our vote. One person, one vote. We're still working towards that. We're not there yet. Okay? And these are curvatures in our social space-time that have big impacts on our sense of democracy, on our sense of what the economy is. But it raises the question, if there is a kind of curvature, how can we understand it? What is it? And how can sound help us understand that there are things, there's knowledge out there that we can get through sound that's difficult otherwise? Famous music anthropologist Stephen Feld created CDs documenting the sound of the rainforest. Sounds that, of course, are changing rapidly with various kinds of industrialization and modernization. But people often say, well, we have more information now. We're smarter now than we were before. But I fear that we've lost some of our sensing capacity when it comes to sound. So just let's take a little test here. The test is 3 samples. Is this morning, afternoon, or night? Okay, everybody ready to take the test? You can jot down your notes here. See, there will be an answer key. Okay, here's the first sound. Is this morning, afternoon, or night? Okay, that's 1. There's 2, morning, afternoon, or night. Okay, and number 3, morning, afternoon, or night. All right, you ready? Here's the answers. Da-da-da. Okay, started out morning, then we got night. We started out afternoon, then night, then morning. How many people got all 3? Okay, how many people got 2? All right, how many people got 1? All right, anybody got none? So this would be a super simple test. If you were a child in the Bosavi rainforest, it would be like, how can you even ask such a simple, stupid question? Of course you know this. But there's all sorts of ways in our screen-oriented world that we're losing some of this capacity. And it seems to me that sound can help us understand this. We think about musicians, right? What is gravity? If there's something that curves space-time for musicians and sound. Well, the cultural studies answer is money. If you got money, things curve around you. But what if you desire someone else? If you feel an attraction to that person? This, too, is a kind of curvature that's a little divorced from money. If you're a musician, good sounds attract you, and you feel you want to go to a place that makes really good sound. As I was planning this talk, I thought, wouldn't it be great if this room had 4-channel sound? So you could hear sounds from the back and sounds from the front, and we could disrupt some of our assumptions about how things happen. Audience, having a good audience makes a difference too, and also a kind of curvature as well, and there's other things, crisscrossing ways in which our social world is curved. And you can see this in different kinds of clubs. I do some of my field work in nightclubs in Japan, and I found this DJ bar that's remarkable. because the room, it's a tiny room, it's filled with sound, but you can still talk with each other. I know a lot of people hate going out to see music because clubs are too loud. You can't talk, it hurts your ears. It doesn't have to be that way. And so the owner here says, I want a home party where we can talk and listen to music. He makes a sound design so the room sounds larger than it is, and people can talk. And the music even is a little bit repetitive. Now we got the bass. So it's a little repetitive in a way that encourages the audience to take part, to dance, and to be more the center of the experience. So sound can create these different kinds of experiences. One of the things I've got interested in is spatial sound. I learned about it through this German band, German indie electronica duo by the name of Mouse on Mars. And for their last album, they collaborated with over 20 people, collecting all of these sounds. And then they said they didn't know what to do with it. There was too many sounds. So they went to the studio in the southern Germany for D&B Audio Technik. You may not have heard of them because they only make very high-end speakers for live music performances. They don't make any consumer electronics. But this is the group that we're working with here at MIT. And they're donating one of these systems, not quite as big or as fancy as this, but the same technology that allows you to play sound in all corners of the room. Let me just play a little bit of them talking about using the system.
We recorded Zach Condon, actually he is the band Beirut, more or less. He came to the studio here in Berlin. We recorded voice parts and then chopped them up and processed them. And then this we took to Eau Claire, where we had the session Andy just described. And then we took all these sessions back to Berlin, reworked everything, added new elements. And then we had so much material that we didn't know how to mix it. And then the idea came we would make a spatial mix. So object-based mixing was a thing that we learned through D&B, the speaker company. We learned about this technique. And we knew about the idea of spatial mixing, but D&B really pushed it quite far, this technology. And now have a system, which they also tested with the recent Kraftwerk shows, that actually spatializes sounds. You don't have a stereo perspective anymore. You can walk around in sound. And this is what we always wanted, not stand and watch the sound, but really have the experience of being inside it. And it doesn't matter if it's only one sound or if it's like the whole composition. I thought this would be perfect for all that material that we had collected. You put sounds wherever you want, and this is how you organize it. You don't stuff them all onto one hamburger, but you kind of leave it like more like a sushi buffet, you know, like fresh. And
with our music, this made sense.
The sushi buffet. And so this is the idea. And one of the things that this spatial mixing surround sound enables is you to hear more of the sounds and hear more of the voices because they're spread around the room. And as Jan Werner says here, you walk around inside the composition and there's no single song. Each person experiences this reality slightly differently. And this is in fact what our social reality is. Everyone experiences social reality somewhat differently. But we don't teach that way. Our syllabi don't reflect this. Instead, it's too flat, it's too unidirectional, it's too for everyone. And we could give more agency to the audience, to the listener, to the student, to the researcher, by reminding each of us that we all bring something special to our experience of the social world. And placing sound in an environment like this allows us to do so. One problem is this is a very fancy system, somewhat expensive. I think it's important for us to also have simpler versions of this. That's why our studio right now also has a 5.1 system. I even made a spatial cowboy hat so that you can have a 4-channel experience. It's like a Walkman. We tested it out at one of these music festivals in Germany as well. So here's the conclusion. Move away from the screen. Learn to listen. It's a different kind of experience. And I think there's nothing wrong with the kind of VR, AR world we're working towards. But it's very screen-oriented. And there are things we can learn from sound that are different and new. We can hear voices from the margins, more agencies for listeners, and it would call for more sound work in our research and teaching. So if people are interested in this, please contact me. We have the Spatial Sound Lab. It's going to be a community for making different kinds of immersive sound projects. And thank you, Brian, for having me at the talk as well. Thank you.